Hey guys, it's Lunos Eclipse. So after watching Shea Frillis Productions videos on his ranking videos, I wanted to try and throw my hat into the ring and rank my top 10 favorite Dreamworks villains. Also, this is just a filler video for the channel until I can get more Hella vs. episodes onto the channel and finish out season 2. And also, I'm going to put in one rule for this video, and that's if there are more than one villain in a movie, I'm going to pick the villain that I like more. And also, this is just entirely my opinion, but if you guys want to let me know some of your favorite Dreamworks villains, feel free to leave a comment below. But let's dive into number 10. Now, in all honesty, I know this might seem a little weird at first, but once you really think about it, Vincent is honestly a really good villain and character in Over the Hedge. The main reason why he's my favorite is because he's a bear, which is one of my favorite animals of all time. But he also serves himself as a threat to not just RJ physically, but also psychologically. Just this scene right here, where RJ has a nightmare about getting eaten by Vincent, and then waking up shaking and breathing heavily, or this other scene where just saying his name unlocks his fight or flight response, really shows how much RJ is tortured by him. Plus, this scene with Vincent on the Verminator's truck and then floats away by balloons only to land right in front of the gang and pop the remaining balloon with him. It was honestly really cool. And while I agree that the Verminator is the funnier villain, I like Vincent a lot more just because of how much of an impact he has on RJ.
Just scram, okay? We're closed for Ebola.
Dude, I freaking loved all of the Captain Underpants books in middle school, and the movie itself is a really solid take on it, and so is its villain, Professor Poopy Pants. Not only is he a funny villain in most scenes that he's in, like where he pulls out a cage out of his briefcase and put 2 girls in it just because they were laughing, or when Krupp asks him about babysitting and he responds with,
I would never sit on a baby.
That honestly makes me laugh every time, I don't know why. And his backstory is not just funny, but also a little upsetting just because he didn't get a trophy because of his name. Speaking of which, why is his name, what was his full name again?
Professor Pee-Pee Diarrheenstein Puppy Pants Esquire.
Oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. Wait, what? Why did his parents name him that? Are they just stupid, or are they just really gross people?
The world may never know.
So you're like the bad girls.
And you're like a mango with teeth.
Okay, so spoilers for the bad guys too, if you somehow haven't watched it yet, just skip to this time frame to avoid any spoilers. 3, 2, 1, burrito. Anyways, while Marmalade was a really funny and entertaining villain from the first movie, I think Kitty from the second movie might actually be a bit better for me. Not only is she a physical threat to the bad guys and Diane, but she's also really smart. There's this one part in the movie where she chains all the bad guys with gold and uses a gold magnet to hang them above helplessly, and says that they can escape with a simple push of a button, but also said that the button will slowly upload a profile video to the internet with Diane revealing herself as the Crimson Paw. So the bad guys try to escape and throw the laptop into a fire, and you'd think that the bad guys would escape and get rid of the video, right? Well, surprisingly, they escape, but they also miss the fire and upload the video, making Diane lose her credibility and reputation as mayor. Like, wow, that's actually some pretty good stuff. And also, while her main motivation seems simple, only wanting gold, the way she executes her plan in the end was honestly really well planned out and entertaining, with everyone saying that her plan would be the biggest heist in history of all heists. And also, she's a snow leopard, which also gives me Tai Lung vibes throughout the entire movie, especially when she gets angry. Also, please check out The Bad Guys 2, it's actually pretty good.
Ramirez. Dave.
Out of all the Madagascar villains, I think Dave the Octopus might actually be the funniest of all of them. While he may not be as capable as Dubois from the third movie, he does show that he's a legitimate threat throughout the entire movie, disguising himself as a professor by day and kidnapping all the penguins by night. And his main goal is to kidnap every penguin around the world just so he can turn them ugly. Why, you may ask? Because the penguins were more popular than him when they were at the zoo. Yeah, he may seem pretty pathetic throughout the entire movie, and his motivation may make him seem petty, but I honestly think that it's hilarious that he's this petty, and that he's willing to turn every single penguin throughout the entire world ugly, and turn them against everyone just because they are more popular than him. Honestly, I think he's the best Madagascar villain in the entire series, with his only competition being Dubois. The Fusas were not good villains if they're even villains from the first movie. Granny is fine, and Makunga is just a pathetic beta Scar. Bottom line is, David the Octopus is an underrated villain, and so is this movie. Titan is such a good villain in Megamind, not because he's a super big threat, which he kind of is towards the end of the movie, but also just because of how pathetic he is. Even before he got Metro Man's powers, he was still rendered pathetic. There's this one scene where he tries to invite Roxanne to his place, where it was just going to be them, a wedding photographer, and a bouncy house. Huh? Where was he going to put the bouncy house in his apartment? It's super tiny, so I don't really understand it. And even after, when he gets his powers and is mentored by Megamind, he tries to woo Roxanne now that he has powers. But oh no, Roxanne rejects him and leaves her on top of the skyscraper. Also, how did she even get down from that skyscraper? Anyways, once he turns into the dark side, he says what's probably the most quotable line in animated history.
There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Tooth Fairy, and there is no Queen of England.
Hearing this after Queen Elizabeth's death is honestly kind of hits differently. And also, I would like to rebuttal that there is an Easter Bunny and a Tooth Fairy because they were in Rise of the Guardians working together to protect kids from pitch black. Wait a minute, this isn't Megamind. Anyways, Titan is a good villain and definitely represents what would happen if you give a pathetic man superpowers in a really good way. He's entertaining, pathetic, and also just really entertaining and fun to watch.
Nobody's smart but me!
Rumpelstiltskins from Shrek Forever After is my favorite villain in the entire Shrek series.
Did he just say, aye, he did?
Yeah, I said it. Fight me. Not only is Rumpel a bit more entertaining than Fairy Godmother, yes, I said that again, fight me about it, but also he serves himself as probably the biggest threat to Shrek, cause unlike Fairy Godmother, he actually succeeds in his goal throughout the entire movie, taking over Far Far Away, capturing all the ogres, and even going as far as to tricking Shrek into freeing all the other ogres, but not Fiona because she's half ogre. And his response to Shrek is honestly really, really good.
We had a deal. You agreed to free all ogres.
Oh yeah, but Fiona isn't all ogre, is she?
Yeah, he's not really a physical threat, but he does have an army of witches and also has the biggest influence to the residents of Far Far Away. Yeah, he's my favorite Shrek villain and nothing can prove otherwise. Well, except for a certain someone that we'll get into later. Otherwise, he's a great villain in an admittedly underrated Shrek movie.
Dragon!
Grimmel is undoubtedly the best How to Train Your Dragon villain. I will admit that Drago, while his scream is admittedly stupid, is also a bit intimidating, having an army of dragon hunters and a giant ice-breathing dragon. However, the difference between him and Grimmel is that Grimmel actually kind of succeeds towards the end. Hiccup tried so hard to continue living with Toothless and keep the rest of the dragons, yet he finally comes to the conclusion that humans and dragons have to go their separate ways so they can survive. I think he does a lot more than Drago ever did, destroying Berk so much so that they had to leave to find a new home, continues to get the upper hand against Hiccup, and even causes humans and dragons to separate as I explained earlier. And plus, he legitimately looks and sounds so intimidating, from the way he shoots a dragon without flinching, to his banter with Hiccup in his home and his lair. And he definitely has one of the coldest lines in animated history.
Making it his mission to destroy the beast so that you could grow up in a better world.
He changed his mind.
And look where that got him.
Like, my god, that's something that a legitimately evil person would say, and he definitely holds up that standard. But I do agree with Shay Frolis that while he isn't really three-dimensional, and I don't really understand most of his plan, because much like what he said, why did he have to wait for Ruffnut to leave in order to find them? Because he already knew they were heading west anyways.
Ultimately, what holds Grimmel back from being amazing is that, hey, he's not really three-dimensional in any sense, and I kinda don't get his plan. Like, it pans out in the end, and he always seems to be aware of where the heroes are going, but why did he have to wait for Ruffnut to lead them there if he already knew they were going west?
That was it. Will you cut that out?
I don't know, he's kinda like Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. Every part of his vague plan just kinda works out somehow, and it's bizarre, but not a big issue for me.
But still, he is definitely the most threatening How to Train Your Dragon villain, and definitely gotta give props to the Night Fury Killer.
Caw-caw! I'm a Reshiram!
Lord Shen is the second best Kung Fu Panda villain ever. Not only does he show that he's a threat due to his weapons, intellect, and Kung Fu skills, but he also shows that he's the most evil Dreamworks villain ever created. He hears about a prophecy that he'd be defeated by a warrior of black and white, and the first thing that he does is commit genocide on all pandas. And I love this quote from the soothsayer. Better is his connection with Poe. This is the only time in the series where Poe's connection to the main villain is the entire plot of the movie. No, we do not talk about the fourth movie. Chameleon never stood a chance against Shen and Kai. And I will say that Kai is cool, and J.K. Simmons does a great job as him.
Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
While Shen and another Kung Fu Panda villain on this list are way better in every other way, at least in my mind. But once again with Shay Frost, I don't really feel as intimidated with Shen as I do with the other Kung Fu Panda villain. And even Kai, because at least he shows his hulking size and his deadly arrays of weapons and abilities. But still, I'm not denying that Shen is the most evil villain in the entire series.
Because I'm the big bad wolf.
Okay, now for this, I really had to do a lot of thinking on who I liked more between my top two favorites. And on rewatch on both of the movies, I've come to the conclusion that, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I don't like Death quite as much as I used to. Alright, and I know that sounds rich from someone who's made a dozen videos of the same character fighting an entire multiverse, and is also one of my mascots for the channel. Now let me clear the air, I still really like Death. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I really like Death. It's just that compared to my number one choice, I like the other villain a lot better. But anyways, back to the wolf. Holy crap, Death is one of the best Dreamworks villains of all time. I will say that Jack is definitely more funny and more entertaining and more evil. And also Goldilocks and the Bears, while incompetent, I still think that they're pretty funny when the spotlight's on them. But Death is not only a cooler villain by design, but also by lore. He's the physical manifestation of the concept of death itself, constantly hunting down Puss throughout the entire movie when he's on his last life, to the point where the fearless hero who was against the idea of going into retirement and continuing his life as a hero, goes into said retirement after nearly dying by death. Now, I've heard so many people say that Death isn't a villain, but just doing his job. And to that I say, I'm sorry, have we watched the same movie? If he was doing his job, he wouldn't be torturing Puss to this extent. He's actively torturing him throughout the entire movie, and once he's defeated by Puss, he gets angry about why he's been messing with his food. Yes, this was what he said in Spanish towards the end. And also, as someone who's watched Eddie VR for a very long time, I found this last part really funny to me. At the end, instead of killing Puss on the spot, he lets him go because of his newfound appreciation for his last and final life. I still find it funny that as soon as Death leaves, Jack Horner immediately comes out of the bag. Since Shrek 5 is coming out in 2027, at least that's what I heard, I wonder if Death is going to show up again to kill Puss or something else in the movie. Hell, even a cameo would make me happy. But while Death is definitely a cool villain, there is one villain in Dreamworks' catalog that in my mind is the greatest of all time. In my opinion, there will never be a villain quite as amazing and scary as Tai Lung. Not only is he a big threat because of his amazing kung fu skills shown when he beat the Furious Five by himself, but also you can understand his anger at not just getting the Dragon Scroll, but also to Shifu for overhyping him his entire life. Honestly, he's one of, if not the scariest Dreamworks villain ever, from his incredible physicality to his raw power and skill, showing when he makes something so impossible feel like the easiest thing ever. On the surface, he's an irredeemable monster! But once you really dig into his backstory, you can understand why he has so much pent-up anger and frustration. While Shifu did have good intentions, he did unintentionally cause Tai Lung to shift to the dark side because of the way he's been overhyping him his entire life, saying that he was going to become the Dragon Warrior for sure. Once they have their confrontation, Tai Lung starts digging into Shifu for not standing up to him because of his own weaknesses. He goes into how he knew that he would become the Dragon Warrior, but didn't try to stand up to Oogway just because he said otherwise. Then he later asked him who filled his head with dreams, who drove him to train until his bones cracked, and who denied him his destiny. And finally digs into Shifu even more when he asks him how proud he was. And probably one of my favorite scenes in this entire movie is when Shifu finally apologizes to him, pouring out all of his sorrow and regret. And in this shot right here, Tai Lung is completely taken back from his apology, and you can even see his eyes well up with tears, hearing his adoptive father finally apologize for his own failure after so many years. But he snaps out of it, proving that despite showing himself being taken aback by his heartfelt apology, he proves that he's gone too far now. Plus, Tai Lung has the best scenes in the entire Kung Fu Panda series, like him escaping the prison, showing how skilled he is from dodging dozens of arrows to taking out multiple guards at the same time and climbing up falling stone spikes to grab dynamite and just kill this one single rhino. Or even this fight against the Furious 5, showing that despite the Furious 5 outnumbering him, he shows that they aren't as skilled as he is. And the final battle with Po is not just funny in every way, but also shows how desperate he is into getting the scroll and ultimately dying only to return in the bad Kung Fu Panda movie. I honestly can't believe I said that. Also, side note, I am very passionate about the Kung Fu Panda series and everything it has in it, that I was really upset by the 4th movie. Oh well, maybe I'll make a movie on why I feel like this in order to complete the other projects that I have. But overall, Tai Lung will always be the greatest Kung Fu Panda villain ever made, probably one of the best Dreamworks villains ever, and the single scariest that Dreamworks ever made. And that's that, folks. Overall, I actually had a really fun time with this video. It was a lot of fun rewatching all of my favorite movies and ranking all of these villains from my favorites. Did you guys like this video, or did you guys not like it? Let me know down in the comments below, and also comment down below some of your villains. I'd actually really like to hear from you guys. And also, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, and also make sure to hit the bell icon so that way you'll be notified when a brand new video or short is released. Thanks again for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Subscribe, help me get a brick!